thing.
Oh, okay. Let me do that. Oh, you did. Okay, the area also. Thank you.
I put it in the area and that, but if you want to send it,
I'll send it to the main one also.
yeah, because people will. If somebody joins from a phone app, that will be a problem.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah, I just did also. Hopefully that will bring people. So. Okay, when I see, so on the phone, that's a problem.
Yeah. I don't know from the browser.
Browser?
No, don't do it from the browser. Download the Voxmeet app and then do it.
Yeah, okay.
That would be a better version.
Yeah,
browser is unstable actually.
Okay.
So currently, actually, I am projecting from the browser.
Browser on your laptop?
Yes.
Laptop is fine. I'm talking about the phone browser.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Got it.
Laptop, actually, there is no app. It is through the browser only.
Okay. So that's that's pretty good.
So let's give it another few minutes. See if more folks join.
Sure.
So Pravin, are you in Pune or are you somewhere else?
Yeah. Today I am in Pune. Yes.
Okay.
I'm spending quite a bit of time on the project side these days. So today I happen to be in Pune.
So how is it coming along? A lot of action.
Actually, yeah, a lot of very well. I mean, I'm having a great time. In fact, we're having so much fun that I, wonder why didn't I start it 5 years ago? 5 saal nikal gaya time.
It's a long road, and it's really amazing. Actually, we'll I'm sure you'll walk us through. So it's quite amazing.
Atul, you turn your camera. We want to see the whole of you. Even if you have put on weight, it's fine.
No, I'm just walking in my backyard.
Acha.
In the backyard, I was wondering you're going on a walk.
Right. Because you wake up in the morning, right? You cannot be sitting around.
Yeah.
So Ashish, I'm going to give it one more try to see if my backup connection is any better, because I see still red lines on my primary connection. So
sure.
We'll give it a try. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. So Sandeep, I'm really from the phone. It's phone is like 1 feet away from my face. The app is looking good though.
Ashish,
I never used the app. Sorry,
Ashish, it looks like you have not really promoted. You have to learn more marketing.
I guess.
These guys will join in. Or was there a confusion on the timing because the daylight saving time?
No, I did sort of clarify, and I think there were a few other people I was expecting, but it's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
No, so we have started the YouTube live streaming also, so it will be recorded. So it will be there.
Okay, good. Yeah. I'll go do my marketing crash course.
Hi, Navdeep.
Hey, Navdeep.
देखो ये ग्रीन इवेंट हो और नवदीप नहीं आए तो कैसे होगा? Then
hi everyone. Yes.
Then the event will be declared void अगर नवदीप नहीं आएगा तो.
Awesome man. This is the ultimate thing, Pravin. क्या कमाल कर दिया. These trees will be our, ultimate legacy.
It is true. So true.
Awesome idea. Superb execution.
Yeah.
अभी तो कहानी चालू हुई है.
नवदीप ने अभी पैसे नहीं दिए लगता है.
नवदीप अभी
मैंने अभी नहीं दिए पर
बहुत सारे पैसे देगा ये. बहुत सारे पैसे.
मैं दूंगा. I will do whatever I can. I'm all in.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Good.
Yeah.
So Pravin, maybe we should get started.
Yeah, sure.
Can you see my
Sandy, ये record हो रहा है क्या?
हाँ, record हो रहा है.
Excellent.
Now it has been recorded that you will pay a lot of money.
Sure. Yeah. Awesome. And I appreciate your sponsorship of these talks also.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's get started. I want to start by welcoming Pravin Bhagwat from the 1990 batch. I've known Pravin for many years in various contexts, IBM days and since then. But I think this topic today is really very close to my heart and very impressive in terms of what Pravin has been on to for the last 5 years or so. He'll talk about it. We call it Tree Side Chat because it's all about trees and greenery and reforestation, which Pravin will get into. It's been a very fascinating journey, a lot of hard work that Pravin took on. So from being a technologist to planting trees, it's a very interesting angle or story we would love to hear about. And also want to thank Sandeep for hosting this on Waghmare, and also welcome and thank everybody who has joined so far, and hopefully more will join. So without further ado, without any delay, Pravin, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Ashish. Great pleasure to be sort of with the 89 batch here. So what I will do is okay, good. So let me maybe switch over to my slides, and then we'll kind of pick up the momentum from there. And I believe as soon as I attach the slides, the camera disappears. Is that correct? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine, and I see your slides also.
Okay. So since I cannot see you guys in this mode, you will have to kind of keep making your presence felt at times, because otherwise I will not know whether I'm able to get conversation across.
Sure.
So, and I think let's make it very interactive. That way, we will, rather than just a one-way talk, it'll be much more fun. And let me see if I can switch the screens and at least see you guys in between. So when I switch the screen, you can still see my slide, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then okay. So I can just change the slide and come back to this view. That way I can keep seeing you guys as well. Wonderful. So basically, and I'm sure all of you guys are also familiar with Hindi, right? So I'll keep switching back and forth between, कुछ कहानियां होती है वो हिंदी में ज्यादा अच्छी समझ में आती है.
एकदम सही यार, एकदम सही बात.
बिल्कुल सही बात. तो इसकी बेसिकली कहानी ऐसी है कि फॉर अबाउट लास्ट 17 years आई हैव बीन रनिंग अ टेक स्टार्टअप, Mojo Networks, and Mojo has an office in Pune and another office in California. So I used to travel around 7-8 times a year between Pune and California. And every time there is no international airport in Pune, so you have to go to Mumbai and then catch a flight. Pune to Mumbai highway is beautiful. It's green, lush green during monsoon. So I used to very enjoy the scenery of driving on that road. But the sad story is that when I used to return from California, the same highway, when you drive at night, you will see in the months of February, March, April that the entire scenery is on fire. So India में यहाँ पे लोगों की आदत है कि वो रात मतलब in the months of February, March, April, they burn all the hills because the hills are used for grazing, and there is a belief that if you burn the hills, you will get better grass. So I've been seeing this burning sequence every year during my kind of a tech journey, and at one point I felt there's something not right. So you got to do something about it. So I started talking to forest officers कि भैया ये आग जल रही है, इसको क्यों बंद नहीं करते हो? तो I realized कि मतलब nobody is taking it seriously. I mean, ये तो ऐसा ही चलता है. This is the way it is. इसमें what's the big deal? So I sort of thought maybe let us get in there, buy some piece of land, demonstrate that conservation is a better way to protect nature rather than just take it and burn it. So that's how the story started, 7-8 years ago. And so there's an area about 65 kilometers north of Pune, where I took some piece of land and started these tree plantation experiments back in 2013. But the area is so barren, there is absolutely no water there. So it was kind of challenging to, even plant trees there. And gradually I realized that this area is huge. It is completely devastated. And to give you a sense of how that area looks, this is how the place used to look 50 years ago. It was completely lush green. It was an extension of Bhima Shankar forest. But the same spot, if you look today on Google Earth, this is how it looks. As if somebody has completely shaved the head. All trees are gone. There is no sign of any greenery there. And the situation is actually worse. In the month of February, March, people burn the whole area. So thousands of hectares are burnt. And that site is kind of very painful. I mean, California, you saw major incidents of fire, which possibly was natural, I don't know. But this is man-made fire. It's done every year. And so if you take a piece of land, finish off all the trees, start burning the land, keep doing it for year after year, in 40, 50 years, that land becomes desert. So the picture on the top is how that land looked in 2013, which I acquired, about 4 acres of land. And after some restoration experiments, kind of succeeded in reviving that entire area by planting trees, creating some water bodies. So that transformation took around 7 years to do. And once kind of I got a hang of it, that this barren land could be transformed.
Watermelon, I'm okay.
Actually, somebody needs to be on mute.
I think you can hear me clearly now, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
Once I got a hang of it, that you could start from a completely barren land and transform it. That's when the ambition grew. That there is so much of area lying barren. So why not? Since we all come from a tech world, we think of scale. So this sort of कीड़ा बोलते हैं ना, कीड़ा दिमाग में आ गया कि भैया इसको कैसे scale कर सकते हैं. Let's apply some thought to it. So that's how the story began. And at one point, the whole project became so interesting that I thought, let me take a sabbatical. And luckily, the company I was running got acquired by Arista, so it was a logical point for me to kind of take a little bit of step back. And so I got full time into it since beginning of last year, 2020 Jan. And then luckily, COVID happened. So COVID happened, तो क्या हुआ कि IITK का जो डायमंड जुबली सेलिब्रेशन था वो पूरा कैंसिल हो गया, सारा बे एरिया, लंदन, ज़ूरिक सब. तो आई टॉक टू डायरेक्टर कि भैया ऐसा है कि आई एम वर्किंग ऑन अ लॉट ऑफ बैरन लैंड और कुछ हो नहीं रहा है, तो व्हाई माइट एज वेल प्लांट अ ट्री इन द नेम ऑफ एवरी एलुमनाई. तो डायरेक्टर लाइक द आइडिया. प्रदीप इज आल्सो ऑन द कॉल, ही आल्सो लाइक कि भैया ठीक है कर दो. हमने ठीक है कर देते हैं, हमारे पास जगह की कमी नहीं है. सो दैट्स हाउ द होल a chai conversation, coffee conversation turns into an exciting journey, and that's how the whole project started.
So that's the reason for the 40,000 trees.
Yeah. So, some divine forces at play. There was 150 acres of land available there, which I wanted to acquire, and exactly 40,000 trees fit on 150 acre land. And IITK has 40,000 alumni. And the Diamond Jubilee is cancelled. So, all these forces of nature all came together. And I say, no, this is a signal कि भैया कुछ करना है. So that's how the project kind of started. And then, as you all, we've been through startup experience, positioning, articulation, differentiation, that is very, very important. Because क्या है कि आजकल lot of tree plantation projects are happening all over the world. And then people said, so you are also planting trees. So what's new? What is different? मतलब ट्री तो हमारे बगल में मिश्रा जी है, वो भी लगा रहे हैं. तो आपका ट्री और हमारे ट्री में क्या अंतर है? और आप पैसा भी बहुत ज्यादा मांग रहे हो. लोग तो 50 रुपए में ट्री लगा देते हैं, आप तो 3,000 रुपए बोल रहे हो. तो मतलब क्या, what is going on? So I will actually try to give a picture कि मतलब what is going on here and why, and hopefully answer some of this question. I think. So bottom line is कि to plant trees, you need essentially 4 things. You need a piece of land. You need to somehow arrange water. You need to figure out exactly what type of trees you're going to plant. And you have to protect and take care of it for about 2-3 years before it becomes self-sufficient. So it's as simple as that. Now, so the piece of land we have deliberately chosen is something which is ecologically completely devastated. See, today people say Amazons are burning. Amazon is so fertile and there is so much of water there that even if you drop seeds from the airplane, वो tree अपने आप आ जाएगा. But the piece of land we are working on is something which has become completely ecological disaster after years of abuse, essentially by felling of trees finally, and then secondly, continuous cycle of burning. It has completely destroyed all the topsoil. There is no, essentially exposed rock. What is left, it is what is called murum, or essentially just gravel. Essentially gravel is left. And there is no source of water there because whatever rainfall happens, it just washes away. So months of February, March, April, May are so hot that there is no way its sapling is going to survive in this land at all. But this area used to host a jungle about 50 years ago. So, and interestingly, if you look at India, close to around 25 to 28, 29% land is like this, which is completely useless. No agriculture can happen and ecologically kind of devastated. So we thought if you can prove, just like proving a theorem, that on this piece of land you can rejuvenate, then essentially you demonstrate that something, there's a hope for revival. So that's the land we have identified. Now question is, how do you bring water on this piece of land? So one conscious decision that we took, that we are not going to bring piped water at all. Because if you bring piped water from a nearby dam or from some borewell, then it's not a replicable experiment at all. Because the tough areas, you're not going to find water at all. So we are solely focusing only on rainwater harvesting. That whatever rainfall happens, somehow store it enough that you can use it for the rest of the year. So we have strategically mapped the entire area, terrain, figured out where the depressions are, where the streams can flow, and dug ponds. And I'll show you some pictures. So by last year, we had dug around 20-25 ponds. Now we have total of 48 ponds already done. And these are the ponds which are we blast the rock, create this depression, store rainwater such that that water can be used throughout the year. So one pond typically can support around 1,500 to 2,000 trees. So we are planning to do around 100 such ponds in the entire area so that you have sufficient storage of water kind of available there. तो इसमें लोग बोलते हैं भैया तुमने किसी एक्सपर्ट को कंसल्ट किया कि नहीं. द प्रॉब्लम है कोविड के चक्कर में कोई एक्सपर्ट आने को तैयार नहीं है. तो हमने अपना जुगाड़ कि भैया यहाँ खोद दो गड्ढा. तो एंड द फिलॉसफी वाज कि बहुत गड्ढा खोद दो तो वन ऑफ टू थिंग्स विल हैपन. या तो उसमें पानी रुक जाएगा या तो पानी नहीं रुकेगा. तो अगर पानी रुक गया तो यू आर लकी, अच्छा. और पानी नहीं रुका तो इट बिकम्स अ पर्कुलेशन पॉन्ड, ग्राउंड वाटर रिचार्ज होगा. तो इधर पे यू कांट गो रॉन्ग. बॉटम लाइन है गड्ढा खोदते रहो एंड समथिंग गुड विल हैपन. तो हमने ऐसे अब टोटल 48 गड्ढे कर दिए हैं और अभी 40-50 और करने हैं इन द रिमेनिंग 3 months. So that's the story of the pond.
And how much rainfall happens there?
It is less than Pune. I would say around 900 mm. So there's good amount of rainfall. The problem is all of it just washes away. Nothing is retained in the ground because the ground has lost its capacity to absorb water. So it's complete runoff and it takes all the topsoil away. And it's green during monsoon, but come November onward, there is not a single drop of water available. And we also tried dig borewell. 350 feet down we went, did not find any water at all. So there is absolutely no groundwater there. So next,
how do you control evaporation? Do you do anything about that when you store the water?
Yeah, so we actually, so these are, deep ponds. About the typical dimension is 30 feet by 30 feet and 35 feet deep. So surface area is not very large. and as a result, evaporation losses do happen, but we are able to see water till the end of summer. And many people have suggested putting some kind of a chemical coating on the top so that it will reduce evaporation losses. And philosophically, actually, I don't like that idea, because a lot of natural evaporation also supports some life forms around the pond area. So if you try to control evaporation losses, you sort of mess with the natural ecology. So basic philosophy is, if you need more water, dig one more pond, rather than trying to artificially intervene and control it. So next is, after you arrange, land and water, what kind of species you plant. So here actually I got lucky. I got introduced to a group called Ecological Society. This is about a 35-year-old NGO in Pune. And there are a lot of botany and ecology experts in this NGO, and they advised us. And they have actually studied the flora fauna of Sahyadri mountain ranges. So they have catalogued all the species. So I got their access to their catalog and started collecting seeds from Bhimashankar jungle. And we've grown those seeds into saplings, and those are the trees we have planted. So we have close to around 600 different varieties of vegetation that we have brought and we are planting there. Wow. And all of these are endemic to the area. So we don't plant any exotic species at all. And essentially we're trying to kind of recreate the natural ecosystem or a jungle. But we are also keeping an eye that many trees have medicinal properties. They have some side benefits. So you can generate some output out of it. But logging is not something that we are seeing as an option at all. We at most want to, look at the fruit produce, leaf produce, bark produce, but no logging at all. We essentially want to kind of recreate jungle. So good advice showed up in time. So that's the species we are planting. And we are seeing that as a result of planting those species, gradually the life forms begin to come back. So these are actually the real pictures of, species we saw coming back in that area, which was completely burnt out and there was nothing there. And bit by bit. So to give another example, in 2013, we did a biodiversity survey. We found around 15 type of birds. And just about 4 months ago, I did another biodiversity survey and I found 65 different varieties of birds there. So just in 5 years, 50 new species have automatically shown up. Interesting thing is these ponds are dug on the top of the mountain. We have not introduced any fish at all, but I can see fish in the pond now. And it's kind of amazing how fish automatically shows up in the pond, and it basically happens through birds. So the eggs are attached to the legs of the birds, and when the birds come in there, they also introduce fish in the pond and the life kind of starts. So kind of interesting to see evolution of ecology restoration live in front of your eyes as the forest cover grows.
That's amazing.
And so after, you select the right varieties of trees, the next challenge is how do you sort of protect it? And protection is important because grazing is a big problem in the area. So if you plant all the endemic species which cattle like, you plant the trees, they come from behind and finish it off in the next 2 days. And question, how do you control cattle? Because that's a livelihood for people. So you can't stop them. So that's where some innovation is required, that we created these bamboo tree guards by harvesting the local bamboo. And a lot of craftsmen were employed to make these tree guards. So every tree has a protective shield around it, so that while the tree is growing, the grazing can continue in that area. And 3 years, if you protect the tree like this, then it essentially becomes self-sufficient. So we make sure that, each tree is tagged. We make sure that, it's taken care of. We almost treat it like a pet. Is it being fed properly, being protected or not? And so results are kind of showing that we're getting extremely high level of survival rate.
So Pravin, you had to go recruit these local people to make these?
Yeah, so these are actually, I have employed around 85 Thakar tribals now in the project. So these guys, are like a forest dwellers. So they know how to work with bamboo. They have these skills. So it was just a matter of putting the right people on the right job, and they kind of. And in fact, down the presentation, I'll tell you a very interesting story of innovation. That innovation can happen even in this domain, and I will kind of show you an example of design innovation that the folks did. Yeah.
So Pravin, are you planting on a grid?
Say it again.
You are planting the trees in a rows and columns.
Actually, क्या होता है कभी-कभी, when the guy who's doing the pit digging, you can't sort of supervise every activity all the time. So कभी-कभी हो जाता है ऐसा, but I'm trying to not create a Manhattan-like structure. So you sort of randomize the placement a little bit so that it looks like a more natural jungle rather than trees in a row and column. Although putting in rows and column makes it easy to tag and track. But I think technology can be used to tag and track even a randomized allocation, because aesthetically it should look natural.
So and it looks like is there a certain like minimum or like is this a standard distance between the trees you are using here?
Yeah, roughly around 12 feet. 12 feet distance between the trees. Yeah.
It still looks like it's maybe. I think in a jungle, the distance is probably longer or bigger. You can
see. अभी क्या है कि distance बढ़ा देंगे तो per tree cost हमारा और बढ़ जाएगा. अभी ऐसे ही लोगों को problem हो रहा है current pricing में. हम उसको और महंगा कर देंगे तो लोग भाग जाएंगे.
अरे जब तक मेरा है तब तक कोई चिंता नहीं है. So with that 12 feet, you are estimating about 40,000 trees. Is that? I think you
about 300 trees in an acre.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And how do you decide? Out of you have 600 types, right? I mean, like which one to plant together and things like that.
नहीं, इसमें क्या है? Now we have got enough experience कि which type of tree can grow in which kind of soil and strata. So we look at the type of land and then decide what are the suitable trees to be planted on this piece of land. So it's mostly experience is what decides. So,
and what is the elevation? What is the elevation of this land? General, is it looks like
not? Sahyadris are not very tall mountains. Sahyadris are sort of, I would say, about 2,000 meters.
2,000 meters. Wow, 6,000 feet. That's about okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm just wondering.
How far is it from Bhimashankar as the crow flies?
About 25 kilometers.
And I presume there is no connection in the sense this is not contiguous, unfortunately. I mean, between this forest that you are building and Bhimashankar forest, there is a gap. Is that right?
So the gap did not exist as of 50 years ago, but the human sort of population growth has created those gaps. But interesting thing is, from last year Feb, I spotted a leopard in the area. And the leopard has started coming because now we have water bodies created. And again, this year, 2 cows were killed by the leopard. So we celebrated the fact the villagers created a ruckus ki ab to problem hona shuru ho gaya hai. But leopard coming back is a good sign of revival of ecosystem. And these leopards actually move through the fields. So even though it is not a contiguous forest, we are seeing evidences of wildlife beginning to approach the area now.
Awesome. And my hope is after building this forest, you will build more such forests and ultimately bridge the gap between this forest and Bhimashankar forest.
Absolutely. In fact, that is the idea. In fact, you sort of stole my thunder from the last slide.
This is awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no way I can steal your thunder. This is awesome. This is, this is hope.
Yeah.
This is religion. If people are looking for religion, this is what it is. This is nirvana for all of us. Go ahead.
True.
Yeah.
So one more. Okay,
Yeah.
you need to put some of that IoT for cameras also,
हाँ.
so that you can catch the picture of that leopard.
नहीं तो हमने ऑलरेडी लगा दिया है कैमरा एक वहां पे कैच करने के लिए एंड
That will be a good publicity.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल इनफैक्ट अभी आई विल शो यू द paw marks that I have already captured on the camera.
Okay.
I'll show it to you.
So Pravin, how did you resolve the issue with the villagers whose cattle was killed?
So again, you have to sort of apply some creative thinking here. So what happened was, when the 2 cows were killed, obviously the guys complained कि अब तो हमको इतना नुकसान हो गया है, ये प्रॉब्लम हो गया है. तो I asked him, how much did your cow cost? So he said 18,000 rupees. ठीक है. So I got him compensation from the forest department for 22K. So now the guy is very happy कि उसको 4,000 का profit हो गया. So he is saying कि boss तुम लाओ leopard हम cow supply करेंगे.
All
So
right.
you essentially
यार प्रवीण ये लेपर्ड आया कहाँ से?
ये जुन्नर रीजन से आया है. Juन्ner is
कितना है वहाँ से?
Juन्ner is about 35 kilometers from the area. And there are, hills which continue up to Juन्ner and Bhimashankar. And in between area is all, agricultural land. So these leopards do move through the agricultural land during the harvesting season.
Awesome.
So interestingly, as we are kind of scaling up this experiment, and since we all come from a tech background, it becomes a good kind of a lab area for us to try out different ideas, apply technology and enjoy nature. So ideas to kind of... Yes.
Pravin, you can stop the sharing so we can see you. Just stop the sharing.
Okay. Can you see me now? Okay. You mean...
You clicked it twice maybe.
Achha,
So
if I
you
stop the sharing...
Yeah, now we can
okay,
see.
now you can
Yes.
see it. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but I have to kind of continue the talk. So I will kind of,
You can go back to it, yeah.
Okay. Got it. ठीक है. So I will continue the story and then we will maybe pick up the thread again. Okay.
Yeah.
So interesting thing is, while on the tech side or pure variable, we've got everything under control. What I realize is that the forestation actually is more of a human problem actually. Matlab, wherever the humans are there, they will not let it happen because there are vested interests. There are, land is an expensive resource in India, so there is always contention for, there are better uses of it. So, aside from handling the variables of land, water, trees, and protection, handling humans actually is a much, much bigger problem I have noticed. That how do you get humans to align behind such a project? And human alignment involves, alignment of the locals, alignment of the tribals who are working, alignment of the government officials, and alignment of the city dwellers who are engaging with the project. So I'll give you some interesting anecdotes and stories of how we have handled the human alignment part of it. And the one very, I would say profound realization very, very early on in the project was that the only way the forestation can happen if some kind of a emotional connect is built between people and the forestation. So one idea that I sort of tried was that as we plant trees, so this is a roadside plantation example I'm showing you. We have put a name on every tree. So, for example, there are 2,000 people in the local village and everybody's name is on the tree. So that creates an emotional connect that, this tree is like mine. It's named after me. So then people start asking questions, कि भैया ठीक है, उसको पानी दिया कि नहीं दिया गया, टैंकर आया कि नहीं आया. And otherwise, earlier, there was like a don't care attitude. कि यार ठीक है. So for example, Maharashtra government planted 33 crore trees last year. You can't find any of them because nobody cares. So what I realized is that you have to do something so that people start caring. And I think putting names of people on the tree was something that actually has worked, and it makes people kind of come back. So every tree that we plant, we have a name, we have like a MAC address, like an ID of the tree. Mm-hmm. When people come on site to plant it, we take their pictures with the name tag and share that picture with them, and that kind of creates an emotional connect. And I think this is something that is beginning to work. And that is exactly the reason why I said, we need to put a name on each tree of the alumni so that emotional connect is formed. And there is 7 billion people in the world. If you plant a tree in the name of everyone, at least you get another 7 billion trees on Earth. So that's one simple idea. And this is a problem which requires a lot of IT technology, because, you need tracking, tagging, and addressing and everything that we have, thought of. Mm-hmm. Now, here is another example of, emotional connect. So these are the people, tribals, who are actually working on the project. So what we did is we took their pictures and we put those pictures on a board. So now that creates a sense of ownership that, my picture is on the attendance board. And people like this overall design. So my daughter, she is actually a student at NID, National Institute of Design, Ahmedabad. So she spent a weekend on the site and designed this board. And people like the aesthetics of it. People started taking pictures, sharing it. And now there are more people who want to have their pictures on the board. So our referral network kicked in. So we started the project with 15 people, and now we have 85 people working for us, because people kind of like their pictures on the board. So a simple idea, but helped us create that connect that I talked about. Mm. Now another example I'll give you. So every small thing, you can apply some design thinking and do things, better. So here are pictures of the pond. We want to track the water level, how much water is there in the pond. So this simple measurement scale has been dipped into the pond. Now when you take the picture, you can see the picture and exactly 16 feet of water is there in the pond. So I built a Google form, and these tribals who go, and everybody now has a phone. So I've trained them. They go around, take these pictures and enter the data as to how much water is there in the pond. So every 15 days, we get this data collected through these workers. And sitting in Pune, I have a dashboard where I can monitor exactly kis pond mein kitna pani hai. And simple idea, but it works. And we have a real-time view into kya chal raha hai. Now, this is an example of the emotional connect. So now a lot of local villagers and random people have started coming to the site. So every visitor who comes, we ask them to write their name. We take their picture with their name, and we tell them we will plant a tree in their name. So now everybody is happy that trees are going to be planted in their name, and every day automatically the process is set, and we are getting hundreds and thousands of new name tags into our jar, and the numbers are growing. Now another example of a simple design thinking I'll give you, that 2 years ago when we started planting trees, we needed tree guards. So these were the tree guards we could source from the market, nylon guards. And this design completely failed. First of all, very flimsy design. Cattle come, stick their head, and it falls in no time. And also the design did not really inspire the locals at all. So the time comes for the annual burning cycle, people started burning ground, and these trees also got burnt, and nobody cares, because again, the emotional connect that I talked about was not really formed. So we gave this as a design problem to our team, that, come up with a better design. So they came up with this better aesthetically looking design. And this aesthetically better design actually did the trick, that at least people liked what they saw, became a little bit more careful, the burning problem stopped. But another problem happened, that the transportation of this circular design takes up a lot of space. So in one trip, we can only transport around 25 guards, and it increases our cost. So I was telling my daughter that, can you think of a better design of tree guards? And these tribal guys were standing nearby and they were listening to what I was telling my daughter. So before my daughter could do her assignment, these guys came up with a design innovation. So this design, which is a rectangular design, more sturdy, you can stack up the planks, transport hundreds of them in a tractor. The design innovation came from the locals who are working there. And this design has stuck, and it is spreading like wildfire. So close to around 10,000 trees have been planted with these tree guards. And let me see if I can successfully play this video. So when you approach this project site, along the road are the tree guards planted. And one day I saw a video posted on the social media by some person completely unknown to me. Let me play this video and see if you can hear it.
There's no sound.
Yeah, Pravin, can you do stop sharing, and when you do start sharing, click on enable audio.
Click on enable audio. Kahan pe hoga?
Share audio. Maybe I can just show it to you. Just give me one moment. I'll share my screen.
Yes.
Okay. So when you click here, you will see a window share screen, and bottom left is share audio. So you can click on that. Can you see share audio bottom?
Got it. Okay, yes. I saw it.
Undo your entire screen. Your entire screen.
Do the entire screen?
Yeah, and then share audio.
But if I do the entire screen, I don't see that button. So maybe I'll just do a Chrome tab and say share audio, and let's see if it works.
Okay.
Can you hear it?
Yes.
Yeah, you can hear.
Yep.
Anyway, so you get the idea. Okay.
So is this the road through your project, or this is your project is on one side? Because I see it on both sides.
No. So this is the road leading up to the project site. So around 5-kilometer road, we have done the tree plantation.
Okay.
And all those trees are protected by this tree guard, which is very sturdy. And that whole scene has become now a tourist attraction. People have never seen such a clean road with such nicely lined up tree guards, geometrically all symmetric shapes. So that area has now become a tourist attraction. People are coming from Mumbai to see the site, and then people are making videos and sharing it on social media. So we found this video. Somebody had posted it on WhatsApp. And so you see, the energies are kind of now getting fired up, and people are kind of going crazy. So this is exactly what you want to happen.
Right.
Fire up the energies and imagination of people. So show you a couple of more examples. So this is the furniture built by tribals there, all using the local material. Each piece is handcrafted, looks different, but it gives a very nice feel of very local, sustainable design. And no professional architect is involved. I mean, it is just locals just going, exercising their creativity and building stuff up. So we're just kind of giving them the room to innovate and space for doing that.
Very cool.
Now, here is the house where I live when I go on site. It's a tree house built on 4 live trees. You see it on the left. And the picture on the right is sketched by some anonymous visitor who sometime came on site. He saw it beautiful. He made a picture and gifted it to us and went away. I don't even know who this guy is. So again, examples of when you start seeing these things happen, you know that, at least, you're getting some traction, people are liking it, and they want to kind of contribute to something that is already happening there. So every little thing that we are trying to do there, we are trying to do it with style, to add some element of design, some creativity in it, and that kind of makes the whole project much more interesting. So take food, for example. I mean, food can also be a source of a lot of pleasure and aesthetics. So when we serve food there, everybody takes out their cameras and takes pictures. And again, food cooked by locals. Every ingredient is grown locally. There is absolutely nothing brought from outside. So every little thing we are trying to kind of do it with. Now here is an example of creativity that I had taken my younger daughter once 3 years ago to the site. We plucked some vegetables. I had taught her Fibonacci series and golden ratios a week earlier, and she somehow connected the two concepts and drew this picture in our balcony. And then I took this picture and made it into a greeting card. So what I realized that if you provide a conducive kind of environment, a lot of creativity can flow out of it. So the idea is to kind of create a space. I mean, it is not just a project where we plant 40,000 trees, but rather create a space which unleashes a lot of creativity in a lot of people's mind. So often people ask me, how did this name 14 trees kind of come about? And again, very kind of an interesting story. 5 years ago, my daughter sort of came to me to ask some questions in a science, 6th grade science textbook. So I read the chapter, and it was a chapter on photosynthesis. And when I read it again, some new insights came into my mind that, the trees that we see around us is nothing but a combination of carbon dioxide and water. That's it. And then I started doing some calculations, how much CO2 we breathe out in our lifetime. And continued the calculation and realized that, amount of CO2 we breathe out in our entire lifetime, if we plant 14 trees, then all of that CO2 gets absorbed completely. So this is a nice number to give to people that, at least plant 14 trees in your lifetime, if not more. Because when you take the whole fossil fuel consumption angle, the number of trees you need to plant goes into thousands, and then it becomes unattainable to people. So at least 14 is a much more attainable number. Then this whole idea came that, why not create a brand around 14 trees, and if we can inspire more people to plant 14 trees in a lifetime, it will be a nice thing to do. So that's sort of how this number, I don't know how scientifically correct it is, but, doesn't matter. At least the message seems to be kind of sticking. So this is an aerial view or the Google view of the area that we are working. So this little blob that you see on the top, green blob, that is 150 acres. That will become the IIT Kanpur Diamond Jubilee Grove. But you can see there is so much more area sitting barren out there. So this total area is about 10 square miles. And then this sort of thought crossed my mind that, why not do this project in a way where we can scale it to a bigger level. So the game plan right now is that after the IIT Kanpur Grove is built, we are going to issue a challenge to other IITs. Yeah, IIT Bombay specifically, if you consider yourself number one, then, show us if you can beat our number and kind of create a healthy competition and kind of, tease people into participating and grow this crowdfunding campaign to kind of bigger heights. And once we are able to build this 10 square mile area, transform it into a jungle, this I see will be a nice demo to showcase. If this scale of area can be reforested through crowdfunding and through people's engagement, then we've got a working model for how to scale it to a bigger height. So that's kind of a utopian vision. And question is, how do you, build up the numbers? So simple ideas. reach out to friends, family, plant a tree in their name, reach out to all the college alumni groups, ask them to plant in their, each alumni's name. I'm still kind of on sabbatical from Arista. Arista sends millions of Ethernet ports to Google every year. So I'm trying to convince Arista for every Ethernet port they sell, maybe they should plant a tree. And then some local Volkswagen people who are manufacturing cars in Pune, I'm telling them, for every car you sell, maybe plant 100 trees. Why not? So we're kind of trying out different ideas of how to, connect the tree plantation with whatever people care about, and build it bit by bit. So that's where the 40,000 project came about. This is the easiest social group to begin with. So by no means this is the end of the project. This is just the beginning, and I'm hoping that if you are able to pull it off, it will be an interesting beginning of another phenomena that we can potentially seed one by one. And this is again an old slide. We've now already got commitments to about 6,000 trees. Actually, now the number is about 6,200. We still have a long ways to go. So here is, Professor Karandikar himself came 3 months ago. Professor Dhande, a former director. So the first tree in memory of the founding director was planted on 26th November to seed the project off, and now we are kind of picking up momentum and growing from there. And ultimately, let me actually skip to this slide. So the vision here is to kind of grow this project like an open source project. I mean, just like, open source software projects have been extremely successful, that really passionate people come together, invest their time and energy to grow something of a bigger scale. Likewise, kind of evolve this into an open source project, environment project. So anybody who is passionate, come spend time, add your value, add your ideas, and grow and build them some more. So I will actually stop at this point, and maybe we can turn now into some good free-flowing conversation, and then see.
So, Pravin, I have a question.
Yes.
Do you expect over time the cost of each plantation, the tree, to come down?
Yeah. I'm hoping so. Yes. See, I'll tell you how the number I arrived at. So I've built around 35 acres of forest in the last 7 years. So I looked at how much money I have spent and how many trees I have been able to grow. So I just divided the capital spent by trees, and I got 3,000 rupees number. So, but I'm sure as you go bigger and bigger scale, and the reason the costs here are higher because the land is completely dead. There's nothing there. So you have to do a lot of work to revive it in terms of pond digging, and very labor intensive.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, each tree is about, if you exclude the land cost, is 1,500 rupees, which is about price of 3 Starbucks coffees.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So Pravin,
Yeah.
would it be better to create one big lake or pond instead of multiple holes that you are building?
Actually,
so that lake could be a tourist attraction as well, right?
Actually, क्या होता है कि bigger size lake बनाने के लिए you need first of all access to the land, the right spot. You need to own that spot. Problem क्या होता है कि वहाँ पे mostly the land is owned by the villagers, and they are unwilling to let that piece of land go underwater. So you have to acquire the right spot, and the right spots you find कि बेचने के तैयार नहीं है लोग. तो land acquisition becomes a tricky issue. So abhi what we are doing is, whatever land we are able to get, we acquire it, and then we figure out a way to bring water there by digging these smaller ponds. But bigger size lake structure is not feasible there, looking at the terrain, unless we get access to the more strategic spots which are not available right now.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
And Pravin, you also had some effort you had done, right, to convince some of these villagers and go and spend time with them to support this in various ways. Can you speak to that?
नहीं इसमें तो मतलब almost actually there's enough Bollywood movie material kind of cooking up in the background. मतलब वहाँ पे one guy had to get him arrested. वो भी incident हो चुका है. फिर what I found कि there are few spots which are the right spots for digging the pond, but those are disputed land areas. तो अभी कोविड में what I did is I went ahead and dug ponds there. ये dispute चल ही रहा है पहले land पे dispute था, अब pond पे dispute हो गया है. And the pond is actually worth more than the land. So people are still fighting, but now the object of fight has changed. But that pond has got created and we are able to tap water out of it. So, but yeah, as I told you, it's a more of a human issue actually. See, nature, if you get the human out of the picture, nature will revive on its own. You just get out of the picture, let 15 years elapse, trees will automatically come up. The problem is in presence of humans, how do you bring the trees back? And
so Pravin,
yes.
you looks like you set up, you already kind of created you forested some area, and now
Yes.
this 40,000 is a separate.
Yeah,
additional,
it's
right?
yeah, exactly. So basically, around I found that around 180 acres of land is there, lying barren there, and it can be acquired and it can be converted into a forest. So that's how this whole kind of not only 180 acres. I show you there are about 10 square mile of area sitting idle. Obviously, we're not going to acquire all of it. That's a huge capital investment. But we are influencing the locals who own that barren land that align with us, and we will help you put trees on the land, which will give you some income rather than leaving that asset waste and only doing grazing on it. So now I have about 55 farmers who have aligned. So aside from planting on the IITK Grove, we are also planting trees on the farmers' land, which is in addition to the area that we are working on. So total, by the end of this year, we will have close to 300 acres land over which we'll be doing our restoration work.
So Pravin, quick question. I know people are coming on their own to visit this area.
Yes.
Is there any plan to make it like a jungle tourism, so that more and more people can come in a methodical way, and that would give a lot of livelihood and money to the local people, right? They can sell their furnitures and they can sell their local arts, right? So then they will have a stake in creating it more and more beautiful and sustainable, because that is supporting their livelihood now.
No, so I think you got the right, absolutely the right point. So in fact, we want to do it in a way that the labor force that we have hired right now, we want to convert them into entrepreneurs. And some of it is already happening. So to give you an example, saplings that we are planting, we have converted a local guy into an entrepreneur. So we are buying those saplings from him rather than cultivating it ourselves. So he has now become a supplier and become an entrepreneur. Likewise, the tree guard making, the set of people who are making it, I have given them an offer that you can actually start your venture, start making tree guards, and I'll buy it from you. So third is, vermicompost. We also want to, buy it rather than make it ourselves. So each ingredient that we need, we are encouraging them to essentially become the suppliers rather than work with us on daily wage. Now, coming back to ecotourism, at this point, what I want to do is to kind of keep the focus as forestation. प्रॉब्लम इंडिया में क्या है कि जहां पे भीड़ आना शुरू हो जाती है ना, तो फिर अपना पार्टियां चालू हो जाएंगी, फिर वो लाउड स्पीकर आने शुरू हो जाएंगे, वो शादी पार्टी होने लगेगी. मतलब यू डोंट वांट दैट काइंड ऑफ डिस्टर्बेंस टू हैपन. So we are inviting the serious people who genuinely want to help out on forestation. They are welcome, they can contribute, but we don't want to turn this into like a public picnic spot, because then plastic shuru ho jayega, garbage aana shuru ho jayega. We want to kind of keep it as a pristine, a natural place. So there are ways to create livelihood without bringing the unnecessary, unwanted crowd.
Can we plan a responsible Diamonds Jubilee celebration there at a close location so that we all can see and breathe and imbibe this project? And
No. So
maybe,
I think
yeah,
what I'm already what is beginning to happen is that people who sort of are visiting Pune, I'm telling them, come spend a day. So over a period of time, see, this sort of a jungle that we're kind of building. I hope it will be there for next 200 years. So whoever is coming, in fact, at a batch level, small meets can happen. Let's say 89 batch, few people are coming to Mumbai, Pune. They should plan a mini get together, come there, spend a day, enjoy. So it becomes a place for people to come and enjoy. Absolutely. So rather than trying a mega event, I would be more propose like wing wise reunions or batch wise reunions, small scale.
yeah, good idea.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Pravin, how many alumni have visited so far?
अभी तो क्या हुआ है, कोविड की वजह से people are not sort of venturing out. So I would say maybe around 50 people may have, 50 भी नहीं, 40 people may have come. Yes.
Once things open up, this can become a good tour. Once people are able to visit.
Mehra, you can plan our batch reunion there.
क्यों नहीं, बिल्कुल. Let's do it.
In fact, tent. I stay in a tent. तो टेंट लगा करके वहां पे मतलब मस्त रियूनियन हो सकता है. Absolutely, मतलब people will have a great time.
And Pravin, can you describe how people in the US, I mean those who live outside India, can contribute?
So abhi
So you have a
one of the-
website. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So the website is called 14trees.org, and it has some basic information about the project, and there are also links on how one can contribute. The challenge right now I'm facing is that I have incorporated a Section 8 non-profit company, because you need a kind of legal structure to be able to handle a project of this kind. But the Indian laws are so painful that you cannot get foreign donation until the organization is 3 years old. So there are some exceptions under which you can actually get it. So I'm currently working through those exceptions, putting together the paperwork, so that once we get those approvals, we will be able to accept donations from abroad. In the meantime, what I'm recommending people who are outside of India, on the website, there is a pledge form. So if people just fill the pledge form, that, okay, I will donate 10 trees or I will donate 20 trees or whatever. We need a long list of pledges from abroad. And that list is what will help us get the approval, FCRA approval for a foreign transfer. So I'll highly recommend people to fill that pledge form. People in India can donate because we have the ATG certificate and people have already started donating. So India is not a problem, but foreign donors, I would say just pledge. And when we get the right approvals, we will contact you. And at that time, you will have to transfer money. You can always do the transfer through your relatives in India, which is always possible, but a little bit more work. And that also a route some people have done. So a couple of my batchmates actually have routed money through their friends or parents or brothers and sisters who are in India, because that is perfectly legal, legitimate, but it's a little bit more work. So you can always wait till we get the approvals. So just fill the pledge form.
सारे जो links हैं, all the links, pledge and all, they are I've shared on WhatsApp. I will reshare. And so far, from the 89 batch, we have 7 donors who have pledged 73 trees. I think it's a good goal to make it into high double-digit donors to start with and high triple-digit number of trees donated or pledged to start with. And then we can go from there. And I think it's quite amazing. I mentioned in WhatsApp for the 1990 batch has pledged more than 4,000 trees, and the 1999 batch has pledged more than 2,000 trees. So, Pravin, can you speak to that?
In fact, I mean, these are the two batches which are carrying the weight right now. We have a total 6,300 pledged. So 98% of the pledges have come from 1990 and 1999 batch. But it's also because the word is gradually spreading out. So we want to have a good, healthy competition across the batches and hit our 40,000 target so that we celebrate our diamond jubilee.
Yeah. So I think for
So
89
Pravin,
batch, yeah, go ahead.
Pravin, this is Sugato here.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ashish,
Hi,
you were saying
Sugato.
something.
No, go ahead, Sugato.
No, go ahead. I think Sugato was the first person who pledged from 89 batch, if I remember.
No, मेरे से पहले Pravin, Rajiv Rao, I think beat me to it. So we had this. So I wanted to share with the group. We obviously have a wing group, right? On WhatsApp separately. It's called ITK AMID 89. How creative about that. And we obviously discussed this project in fair detail. Fortunately, there is already enough available in the links that Pravin you had shared earlier, and I think Ashish and some of the others had also shared in the group. So there was enough data there. I think two pieces entered the inertia of the actual pledges. I just thought I'll share it with the group. One is that we were all very excited to actually take one whole grove together. I think you have that scheme, 140 trees or something like that, right, Pravin?
Yes. Yes.
So, we were all very excited about that, and we said, 140 तो कुछ भी नहीं है यार. हम तो वैसे ही सोच रहे थे कि उससे ज़्यादा करें. So we aimed at that, and then 3 guys dropped out, and it never happened. So we finally said, let us do it individually. The only thing is the trees will not be together, right? I mean, they'll probably be distributed. So I think, and then many of our wingmates are obviously outside India. So probably they got puzzled and they were probably looking for some
तीन लोगों को निकाल दो तुम
clear
अपने
tax
wing से.
benefits
It's
as
not too
well.
late.
Probably that's the other thing that dropped off.
You throw those 3 people out of your wing. Not too late.
Sandeep? Sorry?
I'm saying वो 3 लोगों को निकाल दो अपने wing से. अभी भी
अरे
निकाल
नहीं यार. वो तो कभी नहीं होगा.
या उनके नाम बता दो, उनको हम लोग डाल देंगे बड़े-बड़े.
And I was just going to tell Pravin, is such a fantastic thing.
It's a great honor, Pravin. I think it will increase from 89 batch. Just this small thing, I think we will spread the word more and more. Yes.
Actually, नहीं इसमें मैं बता रहा हूँ.
So Pravin, it's as simple as COVID time थोड़ा सा उतरेगा ना. I will probably make a visit myself to Pune. I will, obviously evangelize the cause because seeing is believing finally for a lot of other people, right? I have not seen anything, but I believe in you, Pravin, and believe in our joint.
So Sugato, you have not visited yet? So this is Atul.
No, I've not visited yet, obviously because of COVID, but I'm planning to do that in April end. I will check with Pravin and probably link up and take some, live shots and.
So Sugato, why don't you take the Pune guys along with you? Feroz is there, Piyush is there, and many others. So
of course,
I wanted them to take a first step there. To go in the Mercedes car.
Piyush ki Mercedes.
Bhaiyo, please go in electric Mercedes,
sure.
Not in the diesel one. That is crap.
सब है.
इसमें one comment I'll make is कि it is extremely hard to describe the project and what is going on either in an audio chat or a video chat or power slide. It is completely an experiential thing, and experience is something very hard to articulate. And to give an example, the guy from 1999 batch, he came on site And after one visit, he just became a complete convert. And the number bumped to over 2,000 in one night. Because he just saw, okay, this is like something. So basically, it's a very, very different experience when you are on site and see what is kind of unfolding. So I'll highly recommend that somebody ought to come and see. उसके बिना नहीं समझ में आएगा कि क्या हो रहा है.
जी, बिल्कुल.
Bilkul, that's very true. Did Dimple have something to say? I saw that she wanted to say something. No?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was just going to add that, I will reach out to the girls, all the IT girls WhatsApp groups as well. I did pledge, but I couldn't figure out how to pay the money.
No, so still we don't have a way to collect money from abroad, but just do the pledge. And you already done that. So thanks for that. And Dimple, I have not been able to respond to your query in terms of sending you the pointers that you asked for, because there is too much going on, but bit by bit. So maybe I'll give you a sneak preview of what is cooking. So I'm currently building a site it's called Projects at 14 Trees. So the idea of this site is to provide the basic platform for people to collaborate who want to remotely contribute. So people who are interested in biodiversity, so this link will give you information about how to contribute there. People who are interested in agroforestry, people who want to do entrepreneurship, do green ventures, people who are interested in economics and nature, then water accounting, tree databases, then sustainable energy, soil chemistry, building the whole reading list of interesting articles to read. People who want to work on carbon sequestration, there are going to be things to work on. And then on the creative side, people who want to do on visual stuff, people who want to work on texture stuff, taste, smell, audio, emotional, mind, soul. I mean, everything. There's going to be projects, and it's
covered everything almost.
So it is in works, and once the platform is ready, I invite people to come and sort of engage, because we really want to kind of unleash that open source spirit around environment. And to top it off, you need to come spend 1 or 2 nights in the tent and go for a walk. And so there's about 10-kilometer long trek in the area, which can easily be done around the site. And
what about the tree house? Can one live there?
In fact, we are going to have many such tree houses. That is just the beginning.
It was always my dream to live in a tree house.
I was curious, what's inside the tree house? How does it look?
Let me see if I can, pull out some pictures. And just give me a sec. But continue. I'm looking through my album and trying to see if I can.
One other thing I was thinking of, I don't know if it's related with the forest businesses. The groundwater is drying up in India, right? So many cities are facing all this water shortage and crisis. It's I think ideas like this can help with that, perhaps, right? I don't know. I haven't done research into it, but the rainwater harvesting, does that help with the water table? And
oh, absolutely. In fact, what we're trying to do is figure out ways where as much water you can stop, as much water runoff you can stop and let it be soaked in the ground. So I'm systematically taking measurements over years at different points in spaces in terms of how is that water table changing as a result of the restoration work we are doing. So there is so much of data analysis potential here. First doing data collection and then doing some inferencing out of it. So yeah, the plan is quite ambitious, that as much and rather than going to textbooks and learning from it, here we are taking an alternate approach, is to just directly get started and learn from the experiments.
Right.
So far, this is going well. And
Awesome.
Definitely, I'm enjoying the experience to the extent that I really don't want this sabbatical to end. So there is so much to do here that I think it can easily keep us busy for next 25 years.
So,
Okay,
Pravin, I just wanted to share one thing. Maybe you already know about it. I was reading from my 6th grade son's book. So there is this living root bridge. Maybe you already. So the bridge is made. It's a tree which becomes a bridge. So if you plant now, maybe in 10 years it will be there across one of your bigger ponds. So it actually lives for some 100 years or more, or 500 years. So it's actually this living root bridge. I will send you a link. Maybe you already know about it. I was fascinated how this bridges can be built. Just it's a living tree which becomes a bridge. And it's done in
great
Meghalaya.
idea.
Yeah, Meghalaya and other
Meghalaya, Arunachal is where they build these bridges. But I think it's a great idea. We can actually try building one on the site.
Yeah.
Why not? Yes. In fact, there's so much of experimental potential. So one experiment we have done is we have grafted 6 different mango varieties on a single tree. And what I learned that the flowering happens all at the same time in all those grafts. And earlier people thought this will not work, but we tried it and it works. And we are going to now try 6 different types of mangoes from one single tree this season.
Wow.
So,
hey, this is like a mega nature startup. And you are on your MVP ho gaya hai, chal raha hai, almost there. Product market fit is coming up.
Except there is no money. I mean, it's only, joy. That's all.
Yeah, but I don't know if you're comfortable or not, Pravin. So you decide. But if you can give a sense of the amount of, time and effort you have put in, of course, but your own capital. This has been a true labor of love funded by you. So can you talk about that if you are comfortable?
Yeah, I have put. See, this is a total $2 million project. Okay. So I have put in $500,000 from my pocket, and my family is now gone completely. They have given me a certificate. This guy has gone mad. He's just lost his mind.
Yeah, I wanted to have people a sense of the commitment. It's not just talk. You have actually walked the talk. And I've known Pravin for many years, IBM Research. I've seen the transformation of this wonderful gifted technologist into what you're doing is reshaping how we think about nature, reforestation, and all the ideas that you're going to bring alive. So, anything we can do, the minimum we can do is to support you. And so I think that's the goal here. And it's just amazing. I've really transformed my own thinking, influenced by Pravin over the last 5-6 years. Many chats over wine and whatnot, and it's just been mind-blowing so far.
I still don't see you doing anything tree-like. I still don't see you on the train. I still don't see you on the train.
Yes.
You are still thinking of startup.
Yeah, I know. Yes. So.
Yeah, but I think great.
Sorry, but Yorktown. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Atul.
Yeah.
Atul, floor is yours.
Sorry.
Atul.
Oh, sorry. I was asking where was Pravin in IBM? Was he at Yorktown Heights?
Actually, Ashish and I were in the same building for 4 years at IBM Research.
Yeah. No, actually, it was Hawthorne. It's IBM Watson, but it's about 20 minutes south of Yorktown Heights.
Yeah.
Hawthorne, New York.
Oh, Hawthorne. Okay.
Hawthorne. Yeah.
Actually, Arvind Krishna was my manager. I was the first employee in his group.
Cool.
Yep. Arvind was my boss as well.
No, Ashish, has he paid? Arvind Krishna, has he paid?
Has he contributed, Pravin?
Abhay, I have not reached out to him.
Okay.
Just kidding.
Yeah, actually, here I'll tell you, there's another reason. We want this project to sort of grow where we get participation from larger number of people, rather than get one or two guys who will write the whole check and finish it off. Because then the spirit of participation and the effect that we want to create will not happen. So I would rather have large number of people participate with small amounts. That will create a better effect.
Yep.
So Pravin, tell us about your outreach efforts and how we can help. Are you only reaching out to the IIT alumni, specifically IITK alumni, or you are reaching out to a wider audience?
Right now, starting with IITK actually. The focus is on IITK because, once the IITK accomplishes a scale of that size, I think it will become quite impactful and it will become easy to reach out to other alumni. So we are trying to create an impact. And I think IITK is a great starting point because of Diamond Jubilee being an event which could rally people around something of this sort. So,
got it. So every batch has their own reunions. I think you should make sure that you address them either virtually or in person. So that will ignite the whole batch, right?
Right.
So that is what we should do.
I would say now, maybe next 2 or 3 months, I'm going to put some focused effort in reaching out to different batches. A lot of time, energy was going into the basic, execution, logistics, getting the pieces together. So I think now the formula is to go reach out to one anchor from each batch and work with that person to do calls of this kind. So I think a couple of these calls across batches is what we need. And I think this will spread by word of mouth. I don't think direct marketing is going to work. So it has to happen through the chain of references.
So Pravin, quick suggestion.
Yes.
So right now you are doing everything yourself, right? You are overseeing the planting, you are doing the marketing efforts or outreach efforts. You are doing everything by yourself. Do you want to invite passionate people who have
absolutely
inspired, like Ashish Mehra, right? And make a task force, and they can do the outreach on behalf of this project, right?
Right.
Which Ashish has been doing on its own, right? To reach out to the wingmates and to the ITK WhatsApp group, as our 89 WhatsApp group. So you should make one representative from each batch, and then they will do the outreach on your behalf.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right, and that's the right strategy.
Pravin, just to add what Naveen said, I also know that a lot of guys in Maharashtra from ITK, in bureaucracy, politicians, I won't say they might mess things with you, but at least a lot of bureaucrats, they're there. I know Amitabh Gupta, who is the Pune police commissioner right now. I'm sure you might be leveraging them, but I just want to hear from you, is that going to help? And maybe they can be the anchors of some of these activities, because they also have a touch with masters and even other network which they have of full. So possibly, I just want to hear from you. Are you tapping that?
Right. No, I think there are challenges where we need some government approvals. So so the help from these people definitely help. So in fact, Amitabh, I have already reached out to him. He helped of arrange the meeting with the Pune district collector.
Right.
Lekin at this point, I am not trying to lean on to the government machinery for any execution help, because वहाँ पे फिर क्या होता है, फिर वो मतलब काम होता नहीं actually. So if it can be done through the private initiative, it has a better chance of success. Once we have created a large size demo and then we want to replicate it at a bigger scale, that's when the government machinery could be useful in terms of drafting the right policy framework and so on. But I think we are a little bit sort of far away from that point right now.
Got it. And
I am staying consciously away from the local politicians. because there's a lot of land involved, and land के dealing में problem आते हैं.
वो तो बहुत messy हो सकता है. Yeah,
Exactly.
that I agree. Also, are you tapping some of the resources we have in our ITK network, like geologists who can help you with rainwater harvesting? I knew one group, Parivartan, and I was personally involved in one of the projects in Powai, IIT Powai, of reforesting one of the hills there. Are you tapping some of those experts who might not be very costly and work pro bono for you?
Yeah, so I think my plan is to kind of invite such experts for a site visit, because a lot can be learned from their site visit. अभी कोविड की वजह से क्या हो रहा है कि लोग इतना फ्रीली अभी ट्रैवल नहीं कर रहे हैं, but as soon as that happens, we certainly will be inviting the domain experts. Few domain experts have already visited, so if you go to, in fact, I'll share a progress report link.
Right.
So there is a very famous hydrologist who came on site. Some ecology experts have also come on site. So we are tapping that expertise, and we certainly want to do more and more of that in time to come. Absolutely.
पिरंगुट के पास एक प्रोजेक्ट किया था मैंने भी, कोका कोला में था जब मैं, so I did a rainwater harvesting for a village very close by. Anyway,
so abhi, where do you live? Where you?
No, now I'm living in Gurgaon, but I had worked in Maharashtra for a long time, in Nashik and Mumbai. That time I was involved with some of these projects. So I'm very interested in Sahyadris and Ghats. They're very close to me.
नहीं तो जब भी आपका पूना चक्कर लगेगा, you should definitely, we should connect, and I'll love to take you there.
Sure. Thanks, Pravin. I'll be in touch with you.
Awesome. So with that, I think I want to thank all of you, and thank.
I had one idea. Sorry. So why is not Piyush helping with his CSR initiative? Like, is the CSR thing can be done? Means, do we need to go after him and help?
You should mandate it, Sandeep. That should be mandated for Piyush.
Pardon?
That should be mandated for Piyush.
Yeah. So you can take it from the CSR initiative also, isn't it, Pravin? That should not be an issue.
मतलब उसको नाक ऐसे पकड़नी पड़ेगी, and I'll tell you why. I mean, CSR cannot be given to an NGO which is less than 3 years old.
Okay.
So that rule is almost like कि आप एक पौधा लगाएंगे लेकिन उसको पानी नहीं दे सकते 3 साल. That is how the government regulations are. कि foreign funding नहीं दे सकते, CSR नहीं दे सकते. But
and you are like what, 6 months or 1 year? What is?
मतलब on paper 6 months, but in reality 7 years. तो वो reality नहीं मानते हैं, वो paper मानते हैं. तो paper is 6 months. But there are other NGOs through which the money can be routed.
Okay.
So because if that is open, then some of the CSR funds can also flow to you.
No, absolutely. We'll figure out a way to get it. The donor has to be willing, so we will figure out a way to get it. No problem.
Awesome. So Pravin, thank you again for joining us and for this wonderful presentation, and more importantly, wonderful journey that you're on. We are with you, and it's really fascinating, and there's more to come. And also want to thank all of you, and also Sandeep, for hosting us. Really good to have that support, and
I'm a closet environmentalist. I want this thing to happen. So we will see. You will definitely get like double or triple of the numbers from 89. That I can manage through the.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
More power to you.
Thank you, Pravin.
Our full support is with you, Pravin.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Ashish.
Sure.